If you happen to descend past the first 600 feet of ocean, you will start to notice something strange about the sharks down here. They get bigger, much bigger, and weirder, much, much weirder. The sleek, fast-moving predators of the surface give way to something ancient, something bloated, something that looks like evolution took a detour through a nightmare. Pink skin, extendable jaws, fluorescent green eyes that glow in the darkness. Sharks that have been alive longer than most countries have existed. Down here, the rules are different, and the sharks? They have been playing this game for hundreds of millions of years. So why do sharks become absolute giants the deeper you go? And why do some of them look like they were designed by someone who had never actually seen a shark before? To understand why this phenomenon even happens, we first have to understand what these sharks are dealing with. The deep ocean is not just dark, it is a wasteland. Below 200 meters, sunlight starts to give up entirely. By the time you hit 1,000 meters, you are in the midnight zone, where the temperature hovers just above freezing. The pressure would crush your lungs instantly, and food is so scarce that when something dies and sinks down here, it is basically Christmas morning. Scientists call this phenomenon deep sea gigantism, and sharks are some of the most extreme examples of it. But here is the thing. Getting massive in a place where there is almost nothing to eat sounds like a terrible survival strategy. So why does it actually work? The answer comes down to 3 rules that govern life in the abyss: Kleiber's rule, Bergmann's rule, and the island rule. Let's break these down. Kleiber's rule states that the bigger an animal gets, the more efficient its metabolism becomes. Picture this. A small shark burns energy fast. Its heart races, its muscles work overtime, and it needs to eat constantly just to stay alive. A massive shark? Its metabolism slows to a crawl. It can go weeks, sometimes months between meals. In a place where food might not show up for years, being able to wait is everything. Bergmann's rule explains why so many of these giants appear in cold water. Larger bodies have a lower surface area to volume ratio, which means they lose heat more slowly. In the freezing depths, where temperatures barely crack 4 degrees Celsius, every calorie you burn trying to stay warm is a calorie you can't spend hunting. Being big means staying warm without burning through your limited energy reserves. And the island rule? The deep ocean functions almost exactly like an isolated island ecosystem. Limited resources, limited predators, limited competition. In those conditions, small animals tend to get bigger over generations because there is no one to stop them, and larger bodies help them survive the lean times. So what does a shark look like when it has been marinating in these conditions for millions of years? Enter the Greenland shark. This is the ultimate example of what happens when evolution decides that slow and steady wins the race. The Greenland shark can grow up to 24 feet long and weigh over 1.5 tons. It is one of the largest sharks in the world. But here is where it gets absolutely insane. This shark is also the longest living vertebrate on the planet. We are talking 400 years, maybe even 500. Scientists used radiocarbon dating on proteins in their eye lenses, and the oldest one they found was estimated to be 392 years old, give or take about 120 years. Think about that for a second. There are Greenland sharks swimming around right now that were born before the American Revolution, before Shakespeare died, before the telescope was invented. These sharks have been quietly cruising through the Arctic darkness since the Renaissance, and they are still going. But that longevity comes at a cost. Greenland sharks grow about 1 centimeter a year. That is slower than your fingernails grow. They do not even reach sexual maturity until they are around 150 years old. Imagine being a teenager for a century and a half. That is the Greenland shark life. And what is even wilder is that most of them are essentially blind. A parasitic copepod called Omatocoida elongata latches onto their eyes and slowly eats away at their corneas, leaving scar tissue with each infection. But the sharks do not seem to care. In total darkness, eyes are basically decorations anyway. These sharks move so slowly that scientists originally thought they could not possibly catch live prey. Then researchers found seal remains in their stomachs. It turns out Greenland sharks just wait. They drift through the freezing water, barely expending any energy. And when a seal happens to be sleeping or resting, the shark strikes. One researcher described their hunting strategy as ambush predation taken to an absurd extreme. They literally wait for their prey to fall asleep. And then there is the Pacific sleeper shark, which is basically the Greenland shark's slightly more mysterious cousin. These sharks live in the North Pacific, from Japan all the way to the Bering Sea, and they get absolutely massive. The largest one ever verified measured 14 feet and weighed nearly 2,000 pounds. But that is just what we have measured from fishing vessels. In 1989, a Pacific sleeper shark was filmed from a submersible at 4,000 feet off the coast of Japan. Scientists estimated it was about 23 feet long. Another one was photographed at 6,300 feet off Hawaii, and it was estimated between 16 and 26 feet. If those estimates are accurate, the Pacific sleeper shark could be the largest predatory fish in the ocean. And in 2015, scientists found one living inside an active volcano. I am not making that up. Near the Solomon Islands, a Pacific sleeper shark was filmed swimming in waters with extremely high temperatures and acidity. Apparently, these sharks just decided that living next to underwater lava was acceptable real estate. Like their Greenland relatives, Pacific sleeper sharks have incredibly slow metabolisms. They can store enormous amounts of food in their capacious stomachs, then essentially shut down and digest for months. One 12-foot female caught off California had 300 pounds of food in her stomach. Their jaws are short and powerful, designed to crush and tear, rather than chase. The upper teeth are spikes, the lower teeth are blades. When they find something to eat, they do not let it escape. But perhaps the most famous deep-sea giant is the blunt-nosed six-gill shark. This thing is a living fossil. It has 6 gill slits instead of the usual 5, a body plan that dates back roughly 200 million years to the Triassic period. While other sharks were evolving and changing and adapting to new environments, the 6 gill just kept doing its thing. In the deep darkness, completely unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. These sharks can reach 18 feet long and weigh over 1,300 pounds. Their eyes are small but fluorescent green, designed to catch the faintest traces of light in the abyss. During the day, they stay in waters between 600 and 2,500 meters deep. At night, they rise up to shallower waters to feed, sometimes coming within 100 feet of the surface before diving back down at dawn. Scientists call this dial vertical migration, and the 6 gills do it with mechanical precision, rising and sinking on a 24-hour cycle that has been running for longer than humans have existed. What's terrifying about 6-gill sharks is how efficient they are. They are generalist predators, eating everything from fish to rays to other sharks. They have been filmed feeding on whale carcasses at the bottom of the ocean, tearing chunks of blubber off sunken whales while hagfish and crabs scatter out of their way. In one BBC documentary, 6-gill sharks attacked a deep-sea submersible, mistaking it for competition. They used their massive bodies to try to push the submarine away from their food source. For pure nightmare fuel, nothing beats the goblin shark. It looks like someone tried to describe a shark to an artist who had never seen one, and the artist went completely off the rails. pink skin, a long blade-like snout that sticks out several inches in front of its face, and jaws that can shoot forward out of its mouth like something from a science fiction movie. The goblin shark is the only surviving member of a family that has been around for 125 million years. It has been called a living fossil, although that phrase does not capture how bizarre this creature actually is. When it finds prey, the goblin shark does not chase. It cannot. Its muscles are too weak, its fins too small, its body too soft and flabby. Instead, it drifts slowly toward its target, using electroreceptors in its elongated snout to detect the faint electrical fields produced by fish and squid. Then, when it gets close enough, those jaws rocket forward. They can extend 2 to 9 times farther than other shark species can. The entire front of its face basically explodes outward, and before the prey can react, it is already engulfed. Then the jaws retract back into the shark's mouth, and the goblin continues drifting through the darkness as if nothing happened. Most goblin sharks measure between 10 and 13 feet, although exceptional individuals have reportedly reached 20 feet. We do not really know because we barely ever see them. Most specimens have been caught accidentally as bycatch in deep-sea fishing operations. Scientists have never observed them mating. They have never seen a pregnant female. They do not know how long they live or where they give birth. The goblin shark is one of the most mysterious animals on Earth, and it has been perfecting its nightmare appearance for over 100 million years. So why do all these deep-sea sharks get so big? The short answer is survival. In an environment where food is unpredictable and temperatures are brutal, being larger means you can store more energy, travel farther to find meals, and wait longer between them. Smaller sharks would burn through their reserves and starve. The giants just slow down and endure. There is also the matter of predation. In shallow water, growing too big makes you a target. But in the deep, there is almost nothing down there that can threaten a 20-foot shark. The usual pressures that keep surface sharks lean and fast simply do not exist. Evolution, in effect, allows them to get massive. Then there is oxygen. In the deep, cold waters of the ocean, oxygen concentration is actually quite high. But because these sharks move so slowly and their metabolisms are so reduced, they do not need much of it. The abundant oxygen supply far outpaces demand, which means there is no respiratory constraint on body size. They can just keep growing. Oxygen availability removes a key limit. The really unsettling part is that we have probably only scratched the surface. The deep ocean is the largest habitat on Earth, covering more than half the planet's surface. We have explored less than 5% of it. For every massive shark we have discovered, there could be dozens of species we have not found yet. Consider this. We did not even know the megamouth shark existed until 1976. That is a 16-foot shark that had been swimming around the Pacific Ocean for millions of years, and we had no idea it was there until one got caught in a sea anchor off Hawaii. The colossal squid was not filmed alive until 2025. The ocean keeps its secrets. The Greenland shark has been alive for 400 years, and we only figured that out in 2016. The goblin shark has existed for 125 million years, and scientists have studied fewer than 50 specimens. Pacific sleeper sharks have been found living inside active volcanoes, and we do not know why. What else is down there in the darkness, growing massive and ancient and strange? What other giants are drifting through the abyss right now, waiting for their next meal, unchanged since before the dinosaurs disappeared? The truth is, we do not know. And maybe that is what makes the deep ocean so fascinating. It is not just that the sharks get bigger the deeper you go. It is that down there, in the crushing darkness, evolution plays by different rules entirely. Rules that have produced creatures that would have seemed impossible if we had not found them ourselves. And the sharks that live in those depths, they have been following those rules for hundreds of millions of years. They have outlived the dinosaurs, survived mass extinctions, and watched entire species rise and fall while they just kept swimming slowly through the eternal night. They do not need to be fast. They do not need to be flashy. They just need to be patient. And patient in the deep ocean is how you survive long enough to become a giant. If you enjoyed this video, check out my other video on the creepiest creatures in the deep sea. Thanks for watching.